Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to the show. And of course, I'm your host of the Startup Junkie live show, AJ. And as promised last week, we're going to cover business from A to Z. All right? Everything you need to know about starting a business and just how freaking easy it is and how people overcomplicate everything. You know what I mean? So, over the next 5 days, I'm going to cover certain topics or specific topics, only the crap you need to know to start planning out, since all you have is time, right? Planning out your steps on starting something meaningful, starting a business for your family, basically living out your entrepreneur dreams, okay? I've been on this entrepreneur journey for more than 30 years. Yeah, I'm that old. So I want to share with you today, day one, very specific things about, what you need to know in terms of understanding the departments that you need to actually have in a business. But more importantly, I want to explain to you just how freaking simple some of this stuff is and how people that are, quote unquote self-taught gurus online trying to sell you courses are over fucking complicating this. Okay. But today I'm giving it to you for free. And yes, I appreciate everyone checking out the show. So with that said, be sure to check us out on all our social channels. And of course, we're multi-streaming live on, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube. You know what I mean? And if I'd have had my phone up here, we'd be going live right now on Instagram. But I'm going to have to catch them later. All right? But anyway, what I am going to do is, again, I'm going to make this crap freaking super simple for you. Now, most of you guys know me. You know that I have an MBA from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, Eisenberg School of Management. You also know that I have a master's from Boston University in international marketing management with a specialization of doing business in Latin America. Am I saying that to impress you? No. I am saying that to impress upon you long before I had those degrees and became an academician and started teaching this on a collegiate level where I teach in the MBA program at Southern New Hampshire University. Long before I did all of that, I was running businesses, right? I was doing that and I didn't have a degree. And it's just like the local mom and pop shop on the corner or someone that you know that's super successful that don't have a degree, but they're super successful. And there's really just a few things that you really need to know. And I'm just going to actually just break it down to you right now. Okay, I'm wasting coffee. I'm doing all of this. I'm so excited. I got coffee everywhere, folks. But don't worry about it. Let me get this towel. I'm going to break this down. All right. Most people that are online, and this is how you can tell, like this might piss some people off when I say this. Some people are a little bit pretentious and they like to put the letters behind their name, like PhD and MBA and all that. And if you want to do that, fine, you should do that because you worked hard to do that. I don't necessarily think we need to do that because when it comes to business and getting an MBA, you need to really ask yourself, what is an MBA? All right. I'm going to break it down. Like I said, this is going to be super simple today. And I definitely want you to take this information. I need you to share it with people that you feel like it can resonate with. It's going to be super simple. I see there are people in the room. Definitely chime in the comments section. I will acknowledge you no matter what platform you're on. If you're on Periscope, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, definitely chime in. I want to hear from you. All right. So the main question is, what is an MBA? Well, yeah, an MBA, super simple. Most of you guys are saying, oh, it's a Master's of Business Administration. Yeah, I know that. But really, an MBA is really how business, people, and systems work together to deliver value. It's just that simple. Like I said, today is going to be super simple, right? And so with that in mind, I'm just going to get into what you need to know about starting a business. Now, let me just say this. What actually kind of inspired me to do this, besides all of the fake gurus online, is I actually read a book by Josh Kaufman. It's called The Personal MBA. And in The Personal MBA, he basically told a story of how this one guy was actually forced to work with all of these top-notch or these top-notch guys with MBAs from prestigious universities such as Harvard, etc. So he had to really come up to speed on what it is he needed to know about business. And within his journey to find out what he needed to know about business in order to actually work with these guys, he basically broke it down and said that business primarily was in five fundamental factors of business. And I'm going to tell you there are actually 7, but we're going to cover 6 today. And it's going to be a very high level cover, meaning that I'm going to explain to you what it is and talk a little bit about the functions of it. And of course, how you can leverage this information to get started now. So with that said, I'm just going to get started. The first thing, thank you, Arthur Kimberly Fane, for checking in. Thank you all the other people that are checking in from the other platforms. But the first thing that I want to say, knowing about business, the first thing you need to know is value creation. Okay, so what is value creation? Now, value creation, or your value proposition, and I know you've heard that, is whatever it is that you want to, one, create / innovate, right? And what you want to bring to market, whether that is a product or service, right? As a personal and side note, it is much easier to take an existing business and create a different way on how to deliver that service if you want to like get a quick start, as opposed to introducing to someone to a new idea, a new business idea or value creation where you're creating a whole new product or service, right? So a prime example of that would be Uber. Okay, think about it. Uber is only taxi driving, right? With people using their own personal property, right? Think about Airbnb. Airbnb technically is hotel lodging, but people are actually using their own homes and their own spaces to allow strangers to come in their place, right? So think about whatever value you want to create, value proposition, your product or service. Think about how you can deliver something that is needed, right? Such as transportation, such as lodging, such as food. Speaking of food, delivery is a big thing now with Postmates and Uber Eats and all these different companies that are basically providing something that people need, which is food, but doing it in a different way on a mass scale. Okay, so think about what product or service in terms of value creation that you want to bring to market and how you want to deliver that value to people, but in a way that's completely different from the way that the competition is doing it, that makes you so unique that people want to actually buy your product or service. So that's number one. That's value creation. I told you this is going to be very high level. Okay, very high level, meaning I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. I'm just making you aware of the quote unquote silos or departments that you need to have in a business. Number one is value creation. Sometimes people call that an R&D team, right? A research and development department. So number two is marketing. All right. So now once you've created something of value that is completely different than what other people or the competition has, how would you market that? Who are you going to market that to? What channels are you going to use to reach the quote unquote target market for sharing what it is, that your product or service that is completely unlike anyone else's? In other words, your value creation, your value proposition, one and the same. How are you going to market to potential customers to partake of it? Told you, super simple, going right through it, super easy. Number three is sales. Now that you've identified your target market and you're marketing to them, what is your sales process like? Okay. Do you have people actually calling up and selling people on products and services on the phone? Can they buy your product or service online, or do they have to come into a particular store to partake of your product or your service? Those are the things as an entrepreneur that you have to think about, because at the end of the day, you can have the very, very, very best value creation. You can market the hell out of it. But if you do not have the best way to sell it, for example, the channels that you're going to use to actually sell it, say online, in store, by mail, if you don't have that, then technically you don't have a business, because every entrepreneur knows and business owner knows that the key to sustainability and growing a company and profits is sales. Okay. Once you have a strong sales process, a strong way of generating leads via marketing and selling to those leads, right? Then you have something of substance. So one, you got to have a department that creates, okay? And I'm talking about within a business, which is number one, value creation. Two, you got to have a way to market to the potential customers of your product or service. And three, you got to have a solid way, a sales process for selling them. And not only just selling them, but having service after the sale, okay? How are you going to interact with them? Do you offer customer phone support? Do you offer only online support? You got to think about those kind of things, right? Now, once you've sold something to someone, you have to think about how are you going to deliver it, okay? Say, for example, well, I'll give you a story. We just bought a refrigerator, right? I didn't estimate how big the refrigerator was when I bought it. I just saw that it was a floor model. I could get it at a fantastic price. But once I actually purchased it, the guys there that sold it to me, they said, well, we don't have anyone to deliver it for you. Now, trust me, if I'd have known that delivery would have been an issue, because this is what we're talking about, delivering value, then I probably would not have purchased, the refrigerator. Would have been much simpler for me to look online and order something from Home Depot or Lowe's and have it delivered. Okay. But because I was I wanted to jump on the price so bad, I didn't even bother to ask them the question, how do you plan on delivering this to us? So it became a long ordeal, a 3-day ordeal on trying to get this big ass refrigerator to my house. And once it got to my house, it did not even fit through the doors. We had to take the handles off and all of that. But if I would have asked, one, the right questions, and two, they had some kind of value delivery system, how they were going to deliver the value that I bought, which is the refrigerator, then maybe I would have thought twice about actually purchasing the refrigerator. Okay. Very, very simple example of value delivery. Again, number one, once you create something, your value proposition, your value creation. Two, you got to know how to market it. Three, you got to know how to sell it. And these are all departments within a business. And then four, you got to have a delivery system on how you're going to deliver that value to said customer. Now, number five, once you've done all those things and you're really kicking ass and you've sold your product or your service, right? How are you going to collect your money? In finance or accounting, there is accounts payable and there's accounts receivable, right? Accounts payable is what you owe, right? Like say, if you hire a bunch of freelancers for your business, then that's accounts payable. You have to pay them to be freelancers to produce something for your company, right? Accounts receivables is once you sell something, how are you going to collect the money off of what you sold? That's a question. You have to think about that. Do you collect your money online? Say you have payment gateways where someone goes on your website and they actually purchase whatever it is they want to purchase, or do they have to come into your store to purchase, or can they do a combination of that? You have to think about how accounts receivables. In other words, how are you going to receive your money? Now, in finance, remember, and it's like I said, this is a very high level overview. High level meaning simple look at how it works. Accounts payable is all the things that you have to pay to in order for your business to run, right? Accounts receivables is everything that you have to do to collect the money. Are you going to sell something and allow your customer to pay over time? Are you going to extend credit? These are all the kind of things that you have to think about when starting a business. But let me tell you what's most important. And then we're coming to this most important part here. Let's just say, number one, you've created something of value, right? Number two, you're marketing it. Number three, you figured out your sales process, how you're going to sell it, okay? And number four, how you're going to deliver the value of the product or service that you just sold, right? And number five, how you're going to collect accounts receivables, how you're going to collect payment on what it is that you sold, and accounts payable, who do you have to pay or what services do you have to procure for your business to actually work, right? All of that put together needs to come in a form of what we call a system. All right. I told you, very high level, very simple. Remember, an MBA is only, not just Masters of Business Administration, but how I define an MBA is how people, processes, and systems work together. Okay. So the system, how can you in your business or the thing that you want to do, how can you put it all together in the form of a system that's so simple that even a high schooler could understand it and run it? So business, and I'm going to take you back a little bit to a book that I shared with you, Michael Gerber's The E-Myth, which is the entrepreneur myth. He talked about systems. He says successful businesses, and even Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad fame, even talks about the same thing. Systems is the key to, or having systems in place is the key to running a successful enterprise, a successful business. A prime example of that, and even Robert Kiyosaki talked about this in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is McDonald's. McDonald's systems are so simple that even a high schooler can run it. Think about it. Last time you went to McDonald's prior to the stay-at-home isolation thing, there was probably a high schooler waiting on you at the cash register. There was probably a high schooler in the back, fixing the fries. There were probably high schoolers putting the hamburgers together, and they were running that in a chain, in a system. So within your business, within each one of those different things that I talked about, value creation, marketing, sales, value delivery, and finance, you got to have a system within all of those different departments on how you get the function of those departments actually done. What is your sales process? Well, that's your system. What is your marketing process? That's a system. Then once you figure that out, you have to think about how can you make them all work together in one system? It's a question. And I told you I would introduce this to you on a very high level, and that I just did. Now, I know that this conversation is not very sexy, right? It's not, starting a business where you're creating electric cars. But these are the very fundamentals of business that I share with you based on my readings of The Personal MBA by Josh Kaufman. I highly recommend that you pick up the book. But I am saying to you, over the next 5 days, we're going to break things down on the Startup Junkie live show on just how easy it really is to start a business. Just how easy it is. Like, for example, when we talk about legal, we're going to talk about whether or not you should do an LLC. You know what I mean? Whether or not you should do business as a DBA or as an S Corp or as a C Corp. And, what are the tax consequences of that? Told you, this is not sexy. But if you want to build something sustainable as opposed to what everybody on the internet is selling, a side hustle, this is the shit you need to know. All right? I'm going to keep the messages short, a little profanity here and there, but I guarantee you, at the end of the day, you will have a complete understanding of what it is to actually start and run a business. You will definitely understand that. So, today is day 1 of 5 days, Monday through Friday, of everything you need to know about starting a business. I am your host, AJ, of the Startup Junkie. Be sure to share this post. Be sure, no matter what platform you're on. Like I said, we're on Instagram, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook. We're multi-streaming. And be sure to check out the Startup Junkie live podcast on iTunes, iHeart Media, Spotify, as well as TuneIn. All right? Now, I am going to do later on today a bonus episode of the Startup Junkie Live, only because I got some requests, because people are a little confused about what's going on with the stimulus package, specifically who's going to get the money and who's not going to get the money, the $1,200 checks that are supposed to be going out later this week. All right. So I'm going to explain that process a little bit later on today, and I will let you know. But I'm going to do it by just talking briefly on who's actually not going to get a check. And you'll be surprised. So until next time, everyone, I appreciate you for checking out the Startup Junkie. I'm AJ, your host, and please share this post with someone that you feel that it can resonate with and it can help. This is day 1 of 5. Everything you need to know about business. And I'll see you later on today. Take care, y'all.